Morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your Thursday morning with Ryan and I. My name's Jake, and annuity sales director over here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and we're joined by Ryan at Leading Response. He is part of their director of sales team. And before we jump into the session, I have a few slides that I want to show with some important information to share about who we are here at IMES, and just a quick highlight of why our agents love working with our team. We will have a few polls throughout the webinar, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in that webinar's questions box, and we'll make sure that we get those answered for you today. As you can see on this slide, our new producer builders, or for those of you who are new to us here at IMES, and these bonuses are available based on your production level in your first 180 days of contracting with us. We have great levels that you can qualify at. And as you can see inside each level, there are some great options for you. We've got incredible business building tools, personal perks, and even cash rewards available. If you'd like to know where you stand towards your new producer builder, or if you'd like to know or just have a conversation about how to achieve the next level, don't hesitate to give us a call and talk with your sales director. Another business builders program that we provide to all of our agents is our referred producer program. And I see a couple of advisors on with us today that have already taken advantage of this program. Our business on the wholesale side of the industry is similar to yours in the field, in that one of the best leads that we could ever obtain is a referral from one of our valued producers. So this is why we want to make it worth your while to refer a producer to us. And when that being said, if you do refer a producer to us and they get contracted, we're going to cut you a $50 thank you check. And then where the real money comes in with our referral process is, as that referral writes business, you're going to receive an override on the business. So our ownership team, which consists of Charles, Steve, Curtis, and Chris, they all sign checks for thousands of dollars every quarter. So that being said, if you can think of anyone that could benefit from doing business with our team, don't hesitate to type their information into the questions box, or you can certainly email me with that information. And then below that on our screen, in the little red box, you're going to see marketing reimbursement. Right under that, it's our most popular program that we offer. For every 100 grand in FIA premium, you're going to get $100 in your marketing reimbursement account. And why this is so popular for our advisors is that we do truly consider it to be your money. So you're going to have the flexibility on what services, when, and who you use these funds with. It is your marketing reimbursement, so we're not going to tell you what vendors you have to use. We are going to recommend vendors such as Leading Response, and we do partner and leverage reduced rates and preferred service with most of the vendors. So we also have a creative team to create a marketing strategy and provide in-house services. So if you'd like to know how much is in your marketing reimbursement account, or have a conversation about how to utilize it, don't hesitate to give myself a call or another sales director at our office, and we'd love to speak with you about that. Our back office support team is another way that we add value to your business. This is the core of IMES, and how Charles Hearing founded us 36 years ago in 1986, to be exact. So we want to help the independent advisor work smarter and not harder. We're going to do that with our great business building tools and resources. And then advanced case design is of assistance. So life and annuity quotes, that's another area that we assist with. We're going to get you those illustrations that you request within 24 hours. And just to be completely honest, you're going to get those within the hour. Submission to commission support is handled by our new business teams. Mackenzie, she's the head of the annuity team, and then Michelle, she's the head of the life side. So they both have fantastic teams who work every single day to get you commission quicker. We're going to scrub those applications, submit them on your behalf, and do the administrative tracking, as well as get you updates on those cases as needed. We do this so that all of our valued producers, they get commission as quickly as possible, and it's going to help you grow your business by keeping you in front of clients, where our team handles that back office support for you. Our website, also known as our IMES portal, that you can find online at imesinc.com. It's another great tool for all of our producers who are contracted and writing business here at IMES, and just another reason to work with us. So once you are contracted, you're going to have full access to everything that you see on this slide and so much more at imesinc.com. You also have complete access to Annuity Rate Watch, so you can see up-to-date rates, bonuses, etc., like liquidity on all of the products out there today. So if you haven't registered for the website, it's very simple to do so. When we're done with this call, you can go ahead and create an account. And if you're not already contracted with us here at IMES, don't hesitate to give myself a call. We can get some carriers set up, get you registered with IMES, and you're going to have full access to everything you see on this slide. We have hundreds of sales resources out there for you to utilize as well. So technology is where the industry is going, and our newest partnership is Luma. So Luma Firelight, it's a top-notch streaming the application process. So most of our carriers are on our eApp platform, so you can go to one site to submit all of your business. And then some carriers are even going to eApp only for some of their product lines. So they'll also offer extra comp just for utilizing the eApp platform. Make sure you ask your sales director before you submit a paper app if you can earn more by doing eApp. In Luma, it's almost like your own CRM system. So it's not going to lead nurture all of your clients, but whatever carriers you have with us here at IMES, and once you submit your first piece of business with that carrier on our Luma platform, it's going to keep track of that. So you'll always be able to see like when your client is going to be up for surrender, if they're already out of surrender. So it's a great way to uncover old business and get your clients into better performing products. We also have a full in-house creative team, so we can help you help your practice, and a lot of the items are turnkey and available out there for you. Many of our sales resources, they're all white labeled, so we can simply impose your contact information and your business logos onto it. And then speaking of logos, agency solutions is also an area of expertise for our team. If you haven't created a full customized brand for you and your agency, we can certainly help out with that. This is going to assist with your name recognition, which grows your natural market organically. And then speaking to everyone, if you go and meet with a prospect the first time, really the first thing that that prospect's going to do after that appointment, they're going to go and vet you online. So it's very critical that you do have a web presence out there. And then lastly, digital marketing solutions is another very popular topic around here at IME. So we can help you with websites, social media marketing, email marketing, and much more. So yes, again, the internet and social media sites are where the overwhelming majority of prospects go to for that information. So if you don't already have a website or any digital presence going on for your practice today, give myself a call or another annuity sales director here at IMES. We'll get you in touch with our IMES creative team, and we'll get that ball rolling for you. Right here, as you see on this slide, this is where we have a marketing plan. We can do a complete marketing analysis with you. And speaking of marketing analysis, I'm going to launch our first poll today. Let me get this loaded right here. And this is, would you like to perform a marketing analysis? This is where we will sit down with you, learn about your current marketing efforts and how you're represented online. Then we take all of that information, we send it to our creative team who puts together a full marketing plan for your practice on what makes sense with we partner with over 35 different marketing programs. So it's a great way to learn how to incorporate new marketing strategies effectively into your practice. And then we can let you know what we can do for you online and socially. So yeah, no, fantastic opportunity to just learn new marketing programs. So yes, I'll keep this poll up here for another like 20 seconds or like 10 seconds. And then we'll get going with the next slide. Thanks everyone for your participation. We have two more polls throughout this webinar. All right, so we founded our IMES Wealth a few years ago now, and what we've done is grow this division on IMES very organically. We've helped advisors become IARs and pass the Series 65 at a very successful clip. Once you have registered, we're going to bring great value to your practice with an incredibly competitive fee structure for both you and your clientele. We have great technology and a great investment platform, so this has been a major growth sector of our business, and AUM could be a major growth sector for your business as well. We do a lot of incentive trips here at IME. So as you can see on this slide, this is with Beachy Keen and Athene. So this is going to be held this year, March 22nd through the 25th. So registration actually just ended for this trip, but we do have our SILAC trip going on. And registration is still going through the end of this year, and this trip's also going to be held on May, or the qualification is through 2025 all the way up to 4/30 of 26. So if you would like to know where you stand on your trip qualification, don't hesitate and ask me, and I'll let you know where you currently stand on your trip qualification. Going on, here's another trip. This is going to be held on February 27th, or the qualification is February 27th to March 4th. Or no, that's the actual trip. Sorry, again, my words mixed up there. But qualification is going on right now, and it just takes 6 million points to qualify. So if you'd like to know where you currently stand for this trip, don't hesitate to give myself a call. And then lastly, our Life and Annuity Academies. These are 3-day trainings where we invite agents in. We fly you in. It's a 3-day event. You learn from top producers in the industry going over their sales skills, and then you learn from different marketing programs. So great way to learn how how to implement new marketing programs into your practice. And I'm going to launch the second to last poll right here. And this is our Ascend event. So this is actually going to be held next week. So this is just like an in-person academy, which we do about 4 in-person academies a year, but our Ascend event is our kickoff for 2026. So this is completely virtual. If you're not already registered, click no on there, and I'll certainly shoot you over the registration link for our IMS Ascend event coming up here. And so yeah, great way to learn from top producers in the industry. And we have 4 keynote speakers coming in to go over their sales skills, and some of my favorite segments are going to be how to incorporate AI effectively into your practice, and then just how to get in front of more qualified prospects. Thanks everyone for your participation. And with that being said, just lastly, don't hesitate to follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'm going to pass the screen on over to Ryan. And you should have access there.
Guess I'll turn my mic on and make this a little less awkward while I get this figured out. Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much. As I get rolling, just want to say thank you to Jake and to the IAMS team for the opportunity to spend an hour with you guys today. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to having a little fun talking about marketing. And today's discussion is going to be how we're helping top agents and advisors connect with and engage with prospects in their respective markets. Something I know is a constraint for a lot of advisors, just need more appointments. And that's what we do best. So I'm gonna give you a fresh perspective on what top producers are doing these days, and I think you'll enjoy it and have some good takeaways and action items, and hopefully I get a chance to meet some of you on the back end of this. Jake, how am I looking in terms of screen sharing?
Yeah, no, that looks great.
Let's see. All right, so before I get started here, sorry, someone just walked in my office. I'm so sorry. So I mentioned that today's discussion. All right, my thought track is back on here. Sorry about that. So as we get started, introduce you to myself. So I've got this picture up of my family here. 2 years ago, I got the chance to marry the woman of my dreams, and I normally just like to show how beautiful she is. But the real reason I have this picture on here is the woman on the right. That's my mother, Gail. So she was an advisor as I was growing up, and all the way through 11th or 12th grade, I always thought I was going to be an architect until I realized that geometry really sucks. And I really wasn't making the impact that I wanted to. So I remember growing up, watching her. I was with my dad, putting up wallpaper in her office as an advisor back in the day. And I remember the relationships that she had with her clients, and it was like family. And I knew that she was truly doing it for the right reasons and helping people. So I decided that's what I wanted to do too. So I went to school to be an advisor, got all the degrees, and then I realized it's not as easy as just jumping in and making money right out of the gates. It's pretty difficult. So I needed a job, came on with a company called Resource Solutions. I was the first salesperson consultant that they had at the time. And I realized very quickly that I could help advisors when I was doing things for the right reasons. When I made an impact on their business and helped them scale, I was getting the feedback and appreciation and having conversations that made me feel like I was making the impact that I wanted to as an advisor. So Fast forward 10 years, we sold to private equity. It became this giant thing. We merged with our biggest competitor, RME 360 at the time. We became Leading Response, and the rest is history. So that's my journey through the industry here. I've been in it for 17 years. Wear a lot of hats these days, but I've worked with tens of thousands of advisors, hundreds of strategic partners, awesome ones like IAMS, and yeah, that's my journey so far. Motivation wise, the reason I get out of bed to be a better person every day is my 9-month-old son Jackson and my wife Renee. It's been an amazing journey. It was a very complicated and sometimes stressful and expensive journey to get Jackson into this world, but we're so blessed, and he is the reason I do what I do, and love him very much. So that's a little about me. Now, if you're not familiar with Leading Response, the company's matured a lot over the years, and today we identify as a performance marketing company. So if you're not familiar with the term performance marketing, it's really based on results, and we are obsessed, absolutely obsessed with results and tracking them. So much so that we've invested millions of dollars in software and tracking mechanisms to make sure we're capturing things, data and results to reduce the marketing risk for the advisors that we work with. So much so that we'll talk about in just a little bit guaranteed performance programs to help you reduce your marketing risk, just like you do when you're sitting knee to knee with clients, helping them maximize the return on their investments while also reducing risk at the same time. That we're on the same mission. So I'm going to focus a lot of my talk today on in-person events, but I want to give you guys a fresh perspective, not the same old boring talks you've had before. So we're going to start with the consumer journey, which a lot of you might be very familiar with. We're going to learn some marketing lessons from an author and psychology expert. And we're going to talk about how you can leverage real localized data to help reduce the marketing investment risk that you're making in your business every day. So to start this talk off, we're going to get nerdy for a little bit. We're going to talk psychology, the consumer journey, because I think it's worthwhile as an advisor, as a producer, to take a step back sometimes. And to really be effective in marketing, you need to look at it through the lens of the consumer. Where are they at? Everyone's got a different journey before, as to how they get into your office. When you're sitting at the desk with them, when you're sitting at the desk with a couple, their journey to get to you is often very different from the last person you sat with. I think everyone would pretty much agree with that. So there's a million different things and catalysts to launch someone into, the search for financial guidance. And it's important to recognize what that path looks like. So this slide's got a lot on it. So just to clear things up a little bit before you get overwhelmed, the red upside down triangle there, that's your client acquisition funnel. Everywhere from awareness and engagement all the way to someone deciding to become a client or not. Now, the other triangle, that's basically after someone becomes a client at your firm. And that's not our lane. I could probably answer some questions and give you some tips, but you probably already have processes built for that. And that's where IAMS thrives. They have great resources for you, from onboarding clients all the way to making those clients your biggest fans and referral sources. That's the idea. So it doesn't just stop when someone becomes a client, but there is a separate journey afterwards. But our lane, what we are experts in, we're not a master of everything, is getting people into your funnel all the way to becoming a client. So we're going to focus on one specific or two specific sections of this today, but just to give you an idea of what we're looking at the very top, these are less revenue generating. Awareness and engagement, this is more brand building. So a lot of digital display advertising and things that are just getting your brand out there, which oftentimes help amplify the results of marketing in other phases, like seminars, workshops, webinars, all the other stuff. But it's less, I put $1 in and I get 3, 4, 5 out, within the next 30, 60, 90 days. It's more of a long-term play. Then you get into education and problem recognition. And this, to me, guys, this is where the rubber meets the road. I know we've got a call today with some of the top producers in the industry, and you guys are all amazing at your job. But I think you would agree that it's impossible, no matter how good of an advisor you are, to truly help a family until you understand what their challenges are, what their needs are, and what their goals are, right? So the challenge for advisors in this space is that most people, even the financially qualified ones, they're not walking around going, I have this problem that I need to solve. So oftentimes we need to bring it to them. And that's a specific part of the journey that has a specific marketing tool and program associated to it. And that's really the job of most in-person dinner seminars, which we'll talk about in a bit, is more to bring things to light that if they're working with, a wirehouse, type firm, they're not educating them on new laws and Social Security and all the things that a lot of the advisors in this independent space are doing that they're not. And they're just getting that education. So they either schedule meetings right away, which often happens with half or more of the units in your room, or they leave with a seed of doubt, and those are follow-up appointments scheduled afterwards if you're doing things correctly, right? So the idea there is you're bringing a problem to someone with leveraging reciprocity, which we'll talk about, by getting them in the room in the first place, because they don't think they need help because they don't have a problem yet. So they're in the what's in it for me phase. Now, after that, they could go home and say, hey, John talked about this new One Big Beautiful Bill tonight. Instead of going in for a visit with him, I'm going to go on Google and research it myself. Now you're in the research phase of this funnel. And the cool part is, guys, most of the things you're going to talk about at a dinner event, whether it be taxes, estate planning, Social Security, a lot of this stuff is so complex that the average consumer cannot solve it on their own, right? So that puts them into another phase, which is evaluation. But in terms of research phase, there could be a ton of things that put them into that. A lot of these are age-based decisions where it's a timing thing. Could be Social Security, Medicare. There's a lot of pivotal timeline ages that force people into making very impactful decisions that could impact their financial future. So they want to do the research before they make costly missteps, right? So that's the perfect opportunity to have an educational workshop that's very specific on one topic that someone's already identified. I have that problem, right? So very different in the format and the consumer journey mindset for each individual type of event. Then, of course, as you go through, we'll move quickly here through the evaluation stage. They're evaluating what their options are. Do it myself. I might have one or two advisors, and I've got this online platform that says they're going to help me. So they're evaluating their options, and then ultimately they make a decision to become a client of yours or go another route. Then they're on to the onboarding journey. Now, as we move forward on the psychology side of things, the man you see here, you might be familiar with. This is Dr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion in 1984. It's a great read. I actually listened to it on Audible. It can be a little bit dry, but if you actually read it, it's fantastic. So the key idea here is it outlines 6 principles that help motivate people to take action, to influence them to make a decision. And a lot of these things will sound very familiar to you because they're in your everyday life, not just marketing, but we leverage them in a big way to make sure we amplify the marketing that we do in an effort to help move folks through your sales funnel and ultimately make commitments along the way that make it more likely that they schedule meetings with you and ultimately become clients of your firm. So the first one, we could spend an hour on this, by the way. I'm going to move very quickly. But the idea of leveraging reciprocity, it's basically an I owe you one. I immediately feel indebted as a human when someone does something kind for me. So it could be you and your neighbors go out. They could be good friends of yours for dinner. Before you have a chance to, they grab the tab and you don't have a chance to pay. You immediately have this feeling of indebtedness to them. So you go, you know what? We got the next one, I promise you. That's reciprocity in its simplest form. It could be a book offer, a white paper download, something very simple. A great example of it is the dinner seminar. There's not a much better example of a fine dining experience in exchange for a person's time. Authority. Folks are more likely to be influenced and take action if they believe that the person telling them to do so is an authority in that industry or situation. So being on stage at an in-person event is a great way to be a thought leader, an industry leader, a subject matter expert, and people will listen to you if you project that way. Likability, this is an easy one. You guys are in sales at the end of the day, so people know from those that they buy from those that they know, like, and trust. So having a likability factor, telling your story, your background, your why you enjoy helping people, why you're in the business, humanizing yourself before you even get started on any sort of presentation or talk is obviously very effective. Commitment and consistency is another one. This is the basic idea that along the journey of contact with a prospect, the more little commitments you can get them to make along the way. So first one's picking up the phone, registering for an event. But if they can make a meal choice before they get to an event, little tiny commitments make them more likely to make additional commitments to you down the line, which is a great way to strategically start implanting this idea that it's okay to commit to this firm, which increases the likelihood that they schedule meetings with you at your event, which increases the likelihood that they become a client of yours. Scarcity is an easy one to understand. This is probably a picture from COVID. Limited time, limited offer, limited sessions that we have available, time slots, all of those things littered throughout all of our marketing. And lastly, social proof's an easy one as well. This is just the idea that there's safety in numbers. If for a lot of the in-person live events we have, it's open to the public, right? We're inviting people based on assets and ages and all those things. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people are presumably walking into a room full of strangers. But it's honestly an icebreaker. It makes things easier once you see masses of people in the room that you presume are in similar situations to you. And also, we might have an advisor that has current clients that will attend events sometimes, and people also feel it's like everyone's afraid to ask a question in school until that first person does, and everyone goes, okay, cool, I can ask my question now. It's the same thing at events. We'll have advisors invite current clients, and they'll be the first person to get up and schedule an appointment. And then everyone goes, okay, I'm going to follow suit. I know it's okay to schedule an appointment with this group. So little strategic things like that are part of our marketing, part of our coaching we give you, and very, very important to the impactfulness to motivate people to make decisions, which can be very challenging to do. All right, as we go on, we're going to talk first about dinner seminars. So Seminar Success, this program goes back to the late 90s. And to date, we've hosted over 1.7 million seminar events across the country and brought in over 44 million event attendees across those events. And I don't mention that just to humble brag. We utilize the response data in every market and cross-section it to help you reduce risk, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But it's all for your benefit. So we've invested in tools to make sure we track every granular detail of every event to make sure in that area we know we're maximizing every dollar that you invest with lead and response. Now, one question that I get often is, hey, what are your top performing seminar topics? So to give you some background, I want to talk to you first about what 2025 looked like. So we did 27,000 and change events, in-person dinner events in 2025. We brought in over 800,000 qualified investor guests and over $210 billion in total household assets. So it was a fantastic year. And you might be surprised to learn that most of the invitations for the most successful events, and plenty of them were 1.5% to 2.5% responses, which is good if you're not familiar with the relative response rates. They all really have the same recipe, and it's honestly not the silver bullet. There's no magic invitation. And to prove my point here, I wanted to show you an example of this is an invitation from 2012. So if you look at the headline, the bullet points, how everything is structured, guys, if you look at those headlines, is it really much different from things that are going on today? Political leaders, national debt and deficit, longevity, taxes, estate planning, retirement assets, all of these things are the same, but we wrap it in current events. So it's how to protect your retirement savings, how to leave a lasting legacy for your loved ones, and how to generate predictable and reliable income. It's all the things that impact that: taxes, social security, market volatility, inflation, estate planning, you name it. But it's all of the little pieces, and you get granular in the bullet points, but it's always been the same. So here's another example from literally the last event was yesterday. And if you zoom in on this guy, a lot of it's the exact same: new legislation, market volatility, inflation, healthcare, income, estate and legacy planning. It's all really the same stuff, guys. It's the important part here is taking those concepts and wrapping it in a current event that people might see some things on the news, but they really don't understand how it impacts them. So wrap it in that. You could talk about it for 5 minutes at your event, but at the end of the day, the core message and the things you're going to talk about are those key pillars, those key tenets of a successful retirement. So what really does matter as we move away from topic because it does matter. Topic does matter. We always guide you on things to do and not to do. But more importantly are the other details: where you host it, the zip codes you're targeting, invitation styles. All of these things are data points that we track in every individual area to make sure we're guiding you to avoid missteps. And these are all based on real data of those that came before you, because we've already made the mistakes, so you don't have to. So here's one example. This is free. Guys, this is free. You don't have to spend $1 more to move an event start time. This is probably the one we do the most. So an advisor will come to us, we do a review of everything. Hey, I've been doing seminars for 20 years. I start my events at 6 o'clock. Hey, have you ever tried doing an event at pushing the start time back just a little bit? Oh, I haven't. Tell me more about that. Well, if you think about weekday events, even for the target segment we're going after, this baby boomer, wealthy crowd, church, concerts, all of these things on weekdays, they don't start at 6 o'clock, guys. They're normally 6:30, 7 o'clock at the earliest, and they're attending. They're not going to bed at 7:30. We're not doing a 80 plus year old type of event. I'm telling you right now, most folks would prefer it to be at 6:30 because now they're not stuck if they have a spouse that's working or they're working. If there's any sort of traffic patterns in the area that might cause them to be 1 minute late for your event, they're probably not going to show up, because who the heck wants to walk into a room full of strangers they were kind of already uneasy about late? So they just don't come, and now you missed an opportunity. So moving that start time back is on average a 12 basis point difference versus baseline on the response rate. So that's huge, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Here's another example of utilizing the data. So if you're not familiar with the Share a Coke campaign, Coke was declining sales in the early 2000s, and they obviously, shareholders weren't happy about this. So they put a lot of smart people in a room, and they came up with this marketing campaign to put people's names on cans and bottles. And what that looked like was they turned things around to, I believe it was over a 2% growth within, I want to say, about a year, which was to the tune of 250 million shares a day. So it had a huge impact here in the United States. And it was this idea that people love a personalized message. So we took that and ran with it. And if you see any of our invitations, even the ones I just showed a little bit ago, all of them are littered with the personalization throughout it. We might throw out a neighborhood or any sort of data we have that we can personalize and make it variable to make it seem like this is specifically for you and not everyone in the entire county is getting an invitation. It does increase response rates. In fact, we did an A/B test with a group with about 6 million invitations, and it was about a 20% lift on the static version versus the variable version. So a huge impact. It doesn't cost you any money with us. We do that unless you ask us not to. We're going to do that just as a default, and that's something that's going to increase your response rates as well. So we eat what we cook. Big on social proof as well. So here's an idea as we move through the dinner seminar discussion of a typical campaign. This was out in the greater DC area in Virginia. We targeted folks 58 to 71, at least $250,000 in assets and up. We had 2 nights filled. What you don't see are the other 2 overflow events. We had over 65 waitlisted prospects we got signed up for overflow events over the next, I believe, 45 days. Took a little bit to get a hold of everybody. But we had over 133 million in responder assets. They had 23 appointments scheduled from just these 2 events here. Moved over 3.4 million in new assets and had another 12.5 in pipeline opportunities. And this is kind of run of the mill, guys. If you're doing things right, this is not. I think the assets were pretty high. This is a pretty wealthy area, but in terms of new clients, pipeline opportunities, this is pretty run of the mill. Response rates, all of those things. Here's another example. This one was in Boca Raton, not here in my neck of the woods in Florida. 7,500 invitations. We had 138 total responders, and 2 completely filled nights with folks with at least $250,000 in assets. Let's see, we had a total of 75 million in prospect assets, 31 appointments scheduled, 4 new clients, about 3 million in assets moved, and another 10 million in additional pipeline opportunities. So some serious asset conversations going on the tail end of these events. They did everything right, followed the data, followed the recipe, And for us to be upwards of 1.5% response rates on these, if you're doing everything right, that's where you absolutely should be. And that's really our lane. That's our value add. That's our special sauce in the industry, is leveraging that data to help you get to these types of results. So if you ever want to talk about that, please, let's get together and let's do it. So if you're sitting there going, you know what, there's just this thing in my mind, dinner seminars just aren't for me. Oftentimes I run across a series of common challenges or objections that I get. So if any of these are you, I'm hoping I can help. So first, I already see them done in my area all the time. I can't do dinner seminars because Joe Schmo, my competitor on the street, is already doing them. Number two, seasonality, trying to figure out when to do them, summertime, holidays, all of that stuff. I just don't know when to fit them in. The marketing investment risk, right? They're not inexpensive. So taking a big risk that you feel like you're not going to have a return on, which kind of bleeds into volatile results in ROI. Maybe you've done them before and just had up and down experience with them. And then lastly, you just don't know where to start. I don't know how to plan. I don't know about presentations. I don't know where to go, what time to start them, all of those things. If I could take all of these things off the table and eliminate all of them systematically for you, would you be open-minded to trying this social event dinner seminar approach? Because I promise you, if I was to get licensed and open my doors tomorrow, I'll tell you right now, within the next 6 weeks, I would have a dinner seminar planned, knowing what I know on this side of the business. It's a fantastic way to grow the business, but you have to do things right. So we put together some guaranteed performance programs to take these things off the table and ease your mind a little bit. So we've got some special pricing for IAMS producers. So there's two approaches. One is pay per RSVP for an event, and that's reduced to $99 per RSVP. And we also have an attendee program where you only pay for the people that show up to the events, and that's at $150 attendee per attendee. So that's kind of like the full boat insurance, zero risk. If no one comes, you don't pay a dime. Whereas the RSVP, you could have 50 people sign up and 40 show, for example. But it typically comes out to a pretty comparable cost by the time you average all things out. But if either of these seem like they're a good fit for you, let's talk. And definitely, if you're worried about the risk or any of the things we talked about in the previous slide, these programs will help you alleviate them. And the cool part is you don't have to worry about where to go. We got you. Invitation style to use, we're going to use the absolute best of the best because we've got skin in the game to produce results. So you're getting the best package, wedding style tickets, the whole nine. It's all included. You don't pay extra for anything. So that's the idea here. We've also got partnerships. This has been a big emphasis for us over the last few years. We've got partnerships with both Fleming's and Ruth's Chris. So it's about a savings of $25 or $30 per plate that you're feeding to a prospect that comes to an event. We actually do all the booking for you. It's super, super convenient. We work with both their corporate teams. So a great way to give a prospect a 5-star experience without the 5-star pricing. It's been fantastic. We've got people hosting events all over the country at their locations, and there's tons of them. So if you have any of those in your area, let's talk about that. All right, so we're going to put a pin in that in terms of dinner seminars and move into educational workshops. So very, very different. We talked about them being at different stages of the consumer journey earlier on in our chat. And I want to kind of paint the picture as to why. So first, we talked about the dinner seminar kind of bringing a problem to someone. Now remember, the whole purpose of the workshop is to get to a prospect. A lot of the time we can presume that they're kind of in this phase based on age or situation. So Social Security is an easy one. Typically, our prospects that we target between ages 58 and 67 are in a spot where they or their spouse perhaps are in a situation where they've got what they feel is a big decision, right? It's a key pillar of retirement income, and they don't want to misstep. They know there's money on the table. That's the thing that we leverage in the marketing. They want to make sure that they're maximizing the benefits that they've literally spent their entire working career earning, right? So even really wealthy folks, guys, we've got multi-millionaires coming to Social Security events. If you're in the mindset that it's only folks who just want to live off Social Security, it's not. We just did a campaign 2 months ago for Social Security for women in California and targeted 3 million and up and had over a 1.5% response rate. Unbelievable response. So they do care. These folks are frugal and they don't want to get screwed out of a dime that they've earned from the government. So there's different ways we can attack this. So first and foremost, I want to introduce you to, if you're familiar with the FIA, hopefully you've heard good things. They are fantastic. We've partnered with them for the last 4 or 5 years. So they're a nonprofit, 501c3 IRS approved nonprofit that you basically become a member of. So they're a network of advisors. They've got over 200 chapters across the country. Last year, we did over 3,500 events at the chapters that they have representation in across the country. And they give you access to, they're fantastic. They give you access to over 35 different presentation content ideas. So whether it be Social Security, taxes, retirement income planning, tax-free retirement, estate planning, you name it, they've got it. Combo classes, all kinds of things. So they're fantastic. They've got a team of academic coordinators that actually coordinate with the event venues. So they'll contact the libraries, the education centers, the community colleges where you're going to do them and get the event set up for you. So it takes work off your plate. It's super cost effective because it is nonprofit. So there's savings in terms of getting mail up there to invite folks to these. And they've blown up over the last few years. And, we would not be as impactful in the educational space if it weren't for Afia and the team. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, we should definitely talk. I think their team is amazing, super down to earth, salt of the earth people. They're based out of North Carolina. And I think you'd have a great experience if this seems like a fit. So we talked about the events being at educational centers. It's typically, I think your top tier are going to be libraries, community colleges. We do some at community centers, event centers, things like that. It's got to be a safe space where if a person goes, you know what, I just want to make sure that I truly understand these new tax laws because I don't want to pay unnecessary taxes. I want to solve this problem. It looks like this is a subject matter expert that's hosting this event, but I want to make sure it's in a place where it's not a bait and switch, it's not a salesy thing. I'm not going to be sold anything at the local library, right? It's truly an educational event. It's a safe space to come and learn. So those are the types of venues we typically utilize. And again, I normally get the question, what type of topics work best? So unlike the dinner seminar where it's more general retirement planning and the key tenets that make up a successful retirement, the topic drives response when it comes to educational events in a drastic way. It's very, very impactful. So I thought I'd share with you guys what our topics by rank look like, looking back at the last 24 months. So Medicare is an interesting one. It's typically at the top of the list, and it's because it is such a time-sensitive, age-based decision that as long as you're targeting those age groups, the response can be massive. We've had, 3-4% response. That's not uncommon on a lot of the Medicare stuff that we do. Rooms packed full, whether it's a cheap type of Cracker Barrel type meal, or we're doing these at educational centers. They can both be incredibly effective. So that's top of the list. A close second is going to be maximizing Social Security benefits. It's been this way consistently for the better part of the last 15, 16, 17 years, and it has not slowed down at all. We're still crushing it with Social Security, putting the right types of people in the room. And to me, if I was an advisor, I'd probably be doing these too, because the transition from if the goal is to ultimately get to an income planning and holistic planning conversation with the prospect, it's a pretty easy organic transition from Social Security being one piece of that to supplementing that with income to support their lifestyle. It's a pretty easy discussion. Social Security is just one piece. So if you position it right, it's an easy transition. The others would be estate planning. That's been a growing topic that seems to be working very well lately. Taxes and retirement, I would say, is probably, we've had plenty with lots of quantity, but I'd say it's more middle of the road when it comes to quantity of people in the room. But obviously folks with more money have more concerns with taxes. So it might be a juxtaposition of quality and quantity on the taxes and retirement program. We've done some on the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is kind of a overarching, just trying to leverage the fact that there's new legislation and how can it impact you, tax-free retirement. And lastly, and this might seem counterintuitive, guys, because I think a lot of advisors, they think, well, ultimately, retirement income planning is the important part, right? This is the meat of the entree here. Why can I just target people using that messaging? And it's never really worked that well when it comes to educational workshops, because retirement income planning for a lot of people, it's hard to kind of get your hands around and identify as that's my problem. At the end of the day, a lot of folks have that vulnerability, the blind spot that they don't really have a written income plan, but they're not walking around feeling that way. The way that, hey, I know I've got to, make my Medicare decision coming up. I've got to make sure that I maximize my Social Security. I'm 62 now. Do I take it now? Should I wait? How does that all work? All these things. Retirement income planning is just so general that folks really never identify with it as a problem. So my suggestion is, whether we're working together or not, if you're doing educational workshops, I'm not saying it can't work, but in general, you're introducing more risk when your messaging is just general retirement planning. That's best suited for, as we talked about, the dinner seminar format. Unpack what the retirement income planning discussion looks like in terms of all the key tenets. Do the reciprocity. Make sure they've got a meal involved, and I promise you will be more successful. Get more granular, get more niche, and talk to folks about something a little bit more specific. There's 3 options with Lead and Response that you can utilize. We talked about AFIA, the nonprofit. If you're sitting here going, heck, I've already got a presentation. I just need Lead and Response to put the right people in the seats. That's DIY. We can 100% do that. If you're just relying on us to get the best invitation, target the best people, put them in the room for you, we do it all day, every day. So we can do that as well. And then lastly is our newest addition to the suite of educational workshop programs, and that's Retire Right Workshop. So it's its own brand, and this is all digital. So we're utilizing all of the Meta platform applications out there to target folks on social media, and we're driving folks digitally to events, and that comes with a guarantee of at least 10 households at your educational workshop. So different options there, whatever floats your boat. We can talk about how they all work. And again, we're going social proof here. So just an example, this is a Social Security workshop of about, let's see, we had 61 prospects total there with 2 nights filled, about 24 million in attendee assets, another 6 million on the wait list, 18 appointments scheduled at this one, and I don't have any new assets on this one, but over 10 million in pipeline opportunities. Here's one more real quick. We had over a 1% response on this one out in Brentwood, California. Same thing, maximizing Social Security to folks who have at least $250,000 in assets. We had 83 responders, 43 households total, over 37 million in responder assets. This gentleman scheduled 24 appointments, brought on 3 new clients. I think 4 actually. I just talked to him not too long ago. And at that time, over 1.8 million in new assets, and he had 4 or 5 additional opportunities on the slate there. So if you're wondering, after going through, and we've kind of drawn a line in the sand between dinner seminars, their role in your marketing plan, educational workshops, a question that I get more than anything, what should I do? Which is better? What should I do? It's interesting. At the end of the day, the cost per appointment, the cost per newly acquired client for each program is really, really similar. It's oftentimes going to shake out to about the same thing. So I'll show you what my answer is. And so to do that, I'm going to use a case study of a group I work with up in the Twin Cities, up in Minnesota. So we worked together for about 10 years. And over that time, we were doing dinner seminars and Social Security workshops religiously every single week through the holidays without skipping a beat. So over that time, we generated about 45,000 prospects to events, about 28,000 to dinners, and just over 17,000 to education workshops. So we're sitting in a review meeting, which we did every quarter, and we're talking about, hey, do you ever see anyone who attends both? Like they come to an educational workshop and then you see them at a dinner a few months later. And Lexi, who was running the meeting there, she said, unless I invite them specifically myself, it's really rare that we see that. Which got me thinking, because that's a really important thing to consider. So I thought, well, we've got all the data. Let's go back and look. I can layer the 2 data sets on top of one another and see what the true crossover is. So we did that. And the results were shocking. There was less than 10% crossover between the event types. So if you're not picking up what I'm laying down here, is that if the question is, which should I be doing? This case study right here shows that these areas we're marketing to the exact same households time after time after time over a series of 10 years. And there were very few folks that came to both type of events. It's a different cup of tea for everybody, right? So if this group only did seminars, the presumption here is those 17,000 that came to their workshops, they probably weren't going to meet the vast majority of those families. And the same goes for educational workshops. If they just did workshops and never did dinners, they probably weren't going to get a chance to meet the 27,917 prospects, or 62% of their total prospect universe over that time. It's amazing. So my answer is typically both. Leverage both. We actually talk to advisors every day about how to utilize both, how to work them into a marketing plan, and the investment you make in each one plays into each other. There's a really tactful way to do it. So that's my answer. Is you should be doing both. We can help you figure out what that looks like in terms of scheduling and scale and where you should be doing them, how you should be doing it all. That's what we do best. All right, guys, we're coming to a close. We're going to land the plane here. So marketing channels, we do everything these days, from a ton of direct mail, a ton of digital. Email is a new one that we're utilizing. So we actually match the mail list with opted-in emails for folks that are going to get direct mail invitations, and we deliver emails to them. That's basically a, hey, just a heads up, you're going to get an invitation to our event here in the next couple of days. We do another email after mail is hit, and another one after that as a reminder. And we've seen a lift in our direct mail responses by about 10 basis points. So that's another way to amplify your direct mail results with email. And we'll continue building out channels, but those are the three primary. And my peanut butter and jelly slide is here. I typically recommend they all work best together. They're best together versus just one. I don't want a jelly sandwich. They taste better with peanut butter. So when they're in unison and they're all working together, typically results tend to amplify in a serious way. So regardless of what types of programs you do with lead and response, and by the way, we do everything from webinars, digital display advertising, direct to appointment programs, all kinds of stuff. Today's talk was just on in-person events. But regardless of what you do, all of your leads and prospects end up in our Hub lead and event management portal. You've got access to all of their information, including their assets, their age, Zillow's estimates of their home. We actually append data after the fact as much as we have available, to a pretty creepy level. Like there's data on them that would blow your mind. So everything from credit score to are they a veteran, their education status, all that stuff, we're uploading all that into the system. So you truly have an idea as to what types of prospects you have generated, what types of folks you're going to be meeting if you're doing an in-person event. And you can kind of tailor your strategy, where you place folks in the room, all of these things. There's so many dynamics to think about that you can leverage those things for. So it's an awesome tool. If you've got staff that would utilize something like this, it's built for them. It's really built to streamline the day-to-day activities, to maximize efficiency, keep things organized and easy. And it's the way to do things in 2026. As Jake mentioned, technology is where the industry is going, and it's a huge emphasis for us too. Also, there's CRM integration with native integration with Redtail and Salesforce, and we use Zapier to basically plug into anything else with an API. Any third-party systems. We've done homegrown stuff. We can basically push leads however you'd like. I haven't found one that we haven't been able to hook up with yet. So as we bring things to a close here, guys, I just want to outline our process. Probably looks very similar to the process you have when you're meeting with families. And we designed it that way on purpose. So just like I mentioned with you guys being awesome producers, we can't truly be the marketing fiduciaries that we strive to be, right, without utilizing data and understanding what your pain points are, what your challenges are, what your goals are, before we do any of that. So gone are the days where it's this transactional, hey, I want to do a seminar, and we get things going, and 30 days later you've got an event. We're going to pump the brakes and go, whoa, understand, and we're going to get there. But we can't skip any steps, and it's for your benefit. So before we do anything, our discovery call is all about you. We unpack everything that you've been through in your business, marketing you've done, what your production scale and ramp has looked like, and then look forward. Where are you looking to take the business? What's your production goal in the next year? What are your 5 and 10-year goals for the business? Are you looking for an exit? What's your succession plan? Are you looking to open up new offices, hire new staff? There's a million things as a business owner that we understand and can help you with, but we need to get a full snapshot and an intimate understanding as to what it is you're looking to accomplish before we start recommending a marketing strategy. And that's the responsible way to do it. So after that, we come back to you with a strategy session of everything that we do and probably the 3 or 4 solutions we think would be a good fit for you where the business is now. And then from there, we deliver. So we go through, we execute, go through the proofing process, we deliver, we analyze and track our results, and then we meet quarterly to review and make sure that we're on track and we're pacing towards the goals and the initiatives that you outlined in our very first call. So that's our process. And I'd like to end with something that's super fun. So I'm sure everybody on the call today wants to grow. I know when I'm on stage doing this, I say, is anybody here looking to grow? Everyone raises their hand. But a lot of advisors don't understand how much they can grow by. So we're going to take an exercise real quick. If you have a phone, if you're on your computer and you can pull out a calculator, really quick, do that for me. I'll give you just a few seconds here. So now what I want you to think about is, think about the number of incremental weekly appointments. So in addition to what you're doing now, how many extra appointments could you take on in a week? All right. Now think about over the next 12 months, how many weeks are you going to work? So if you're going to have a month off, call it 48. A couple months off, call it 44. There's conferences and vacation and all of these things. That's a benefit of running a business, right? You get to take time off when you choose to. So I want you to multiply your weekly appointments and multiply that by the number of weeks you're going to work. Now you're going to take that number and I want you to multiply that by your average case size. So ballpark doesn't have to be perfect, but if you look back at your last 20 families you brought on board, what was the average case size? Maybe you've got that metric handy. If so, good for you. Not all business owners in this industry have that number readily available. So we're multiplying weekly appointments by number of weeks you're going to work in the next 12 months by your average case size. And lastly, your closing percentage. So referrals aside, take those out of the bucket. But if we're generating folks from marketing that are coming into your office, if you bring in 10, how many of the 10 families are you going to bring on as a client? And be conservative. I promise you, just be conservative. I think a good number in this exercise is typically like 30 or 40%. If you're in that range, you're doing pretty good. All right, so we've multiplied those 4 things together. Now, you probably have a massive number. It's an absolutely massive number. And this is real. So what you're looking at there is new assets you could bring on. This is if you're running at full speed, all appointment slots are full, right? This is the maximum number of incremental appointments I can handle. All of the weeks I'm going to work over the next year. I'm taking my average case size and my closing percentage. If all of those things stay true, this is my running at full speed maximum growth potential. And it's typically a massive number. So that should be super exciting to know if you make changes and start to fill those gaps and get those appointments filled, that's your maximum growth potential. Here's the downside of it. If you don't do anything, you're costing your business. Think about if your number is 20 million, think about the type of revenue $20 million in new assets would represent to your business. So whether we talk or you decide to make another impactful change, IAM's got amazing programs for you guys to take advantage of. Make a change in 2026 and don't cost yourself the opportunity to grow in the way that you just calculated. It's an amazing thing. I'd like to thank everybody for having me on and listening to me ramble here for the last hour. Jake, you're amazing, man. Thank you guys so much. Love what IAM's doing for their network, and I'd love to be on again soon. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the continued partnership and helping our agents that work with us over here at IAMS grow and allow them to get in front of more qualified prospects day in and day out. And if anyone has any questions, I know it's right at the cusp of the hour. If anyone has any additional questions after this webinar, I will shoot over the recording as well as just more information on leading response. Don't hesitate to give myself response to that email or give me a call, and I'll, if need be, I can certainly get you in touch with Ryan. But yeah, no, again, thanks everyone for joining today. I'll get this email out, and I want to get you on with your Thursday. And yeah, thank you again. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. See you guys.